Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about one of the greatest players in chess history, the first champion, the first chess world champion, Wilhelm Steinitz. So let's get into it. Here is the general info about Wilhelm Steinitz. He lived from 1866 until 1894. He was born in Austria-Hungary and later moved to England and then later the US. His years as champion was from 1886 to 1894, so it was an 8-year reign as the first chess world champion. And title defenses he had two, against Mikhail Chigorian and against Eisner Gunzburg. What is he famous for? Well, he was famous for formalizing positional chess principles. At the time when he started playing chess, it was all about attack, attack, attack. He started to say there are other ways to play chess, that there is a more positional way that you can do this, and thinking with more long-term plans. And he's considered the father of modern chess strategy, and he advocated for scientific, slow, and more meaningful approach to the game. So let's get into the timeline of his life. In 1836, on May 17th, he was born in the Austrian Empire, now the Czech Republic, and he was the youngest of 13 children. From 1848 until 1855 was his early education, and he picked up the game only at 12 and 13. If you do that these days, you probably won't become a grandmaster, which is the sad state because that's when people become grandmasters. At 13, 14, 15 years old is where most top players now are becoming grandmasters. And he wasn't even playing chess at that time. So, he showed an interest in mathematics, and this probably helped develop his style of chess play. Then from 1859, he looks to start his chess career, and he does so by finishing third in the Vienna City Championship, one of the strongest tournaments in Austria, and he was now one of their strongest players. So he starts his chess career here, and then in 1862, he moves to London to pursue chess full time. Now remember, it's not the formalized sport that it is today. I call it a sport because it is. You can argue with me about that in the comments down below. But he looked to pursue it as full time. And he does so by moving to London, where there's more chess and there's more opportunities. And his first real venture into this, he finishes sixth in the London International Chess Tournament in 1862. And then in 1866, he beats Adolf Anderssen, one of the best players at that time uh, going around, and this is what starts to people to consider him one of the best players in the world, if not the best in the world at the time. Remember, there's no formalized world championship at this point, so this may as well have been it. His victory over Anderson 8-6 in a match shows that he's probably the world's strongest player at this time, but that wouldn't be formalized until here, 1873, the Vienna tournament, where he wins the tournament, one of the strongest tournaments to be hosted. And this is where he begins to develop his chess theories, focusing on positional play and gradually moving from a tactical, romantic style of play where they'd play King's Gambit and all sorts of things to a more positional way that players play today. And then in 1873 to 1882 is where he fully developed this out, and he formed the Steinitz School of Chess, and this was all revolutionary at the time. Like, it's hard to think now with all that we know about chess, but the concept of just thinking more positionally and not taking absolute risk and dominating each other, and games only lasting 20 moves because someone got checkmated three different ways, for you to consider a longer form of the game, a slower way to play the game, was revolutionary at the time. Now that's half of Grandmaster Chess. And then in 1883 he plays Zuckerfurt. So Steinitz wins the London 1883 tournament, but finishes second behind Johannes Zuckerfurt. The rivalry then between the two would lead to the first World Chess Championship. These two were the two best players at the time, and it was debated. And so this isn't formalized by a formal committee. FIDE only comes in much later. It's just, well, we need a world champion. Chess has kind of grown now from a hobby into a bit more of a recognized sport. It's still not what it would become years down the line, and we want the first world champion. So these are the two best players at the time. Steinitz would win something, or he'd finish second behind Zuckerford. Zuckerford would win something, or finish second behind Steinitz. So they agreed to play the first World Chess Championship match. And in 1886, Steinitz defeats Zuckerford in a best of 12, or not best of 12. I think at the time, what was it? It was a best of 20 rather. Steinitz defeats him 12.5, 7.5, becoming the first official world chess champion at the age of 50. If a player is in the top 10 now and they're over 50 years old, they're an enigma. So that's basically Vishy Anand, who's just dropped out of the top 10 and top 20. Like, age 50, he became world champion. No one will do that in the modern era. I stand to be corrected, but it is just incredible. Incredible. And we move on late in his career. 1889, his victory against Mikhail Chigorin. Also, he's up and coming, and they organize this match in Havana, Cuba, and Steinitz defeats him 10.5, 6.5 in that match. It was just incredible, just incredible. Chigorin, he's pioneered a lot in chess. You will find Chigorin openings and all sorts of things that he's contributed. Look him up. Fantastic player. Steinitz defeats him as well. And then we move on to his final defense in 1890. Well, he first moves to New York to defend his title and become a citizen, and starts publishing his ideas and stuff, because although it was big in the UK, it hadn't made it over to America just yet. And then here, 1892, 3 years after he defeated Chigorin, he defeats Isidor Gunsberg. Apologies for the pronunciation, and he wins that match in New York, 10.5, 8.5. So if we consider that he's had another 2 defenses in 6 years, he's now 56 years old in 1892. Let's not forget that the year, that's why I've just got 2 grumpy old men on the screen, and it's in black and white. You can't find any better photos. So we go here, 1894, his loss to Emanuel Lasker. Now, Lasker at the time was the greatest player. He had come up and he challenged Steinitz for the World Championship, and it ended 10-5 in Lasker's favor. And this would mark the end of Steinitz's 8-year reign as the official world champion. And Lasker would go on to be the second world champion, and we'll cover him in the next video. Truly, truly amazing player. And from there, that is where Steinitz's kind of story ends. He would try and defeat Lasker again. They would have a rematch, but he would lose at 10-2, and he would not finish it. He would resign early. He felt Lasker was the best in the world at the time and handed him the title, because after this, unfortunately, his health would start to decline and he would pass away a couple of years later. But the story of Wilhelm Steinitz is he is the first world champion. As we go over to his legacy, his legacy is that he is the father of modern chess due to his revolutions in positional play, and he will forever be the first world champion, recognized world champion. There's not much else I can say. Let me know what you think of this series. The next video will obviously cover Lasker. So let me know what you think. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below on what you'd like to see, what you think of this video. And subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. Until next time.